let me level you up on why CDNs are a bad idea. So first, let's talk about why CDNs are a good idea. CDNs are a good idea when they're used properly. None of the free CDNs are ever used properly. For a CDN to be used properly, you should have a resource that's been hashed. So, for example, you would not have qrcode.min.js. You would either have slash, ABC123. Let's say, we're gonna have a SHA-2 hyphen ABC123, or you could have that. Often it would just be part of the file name. So let's say that it's part of the file name like this, or you could have it as part of the query parameter. I guess we would want this like that, and this like this. Okay, so this first one, this is bad. You don't want to reference something in that way because it doesn't have version information with it. But more than version information, you want to get the exact hash of it. And the reason that this is nice is because then you can permanently cache it in your browser's cache. So you can guarantee that if the file in question has been updated, that it will have a cache miss and it will need to get the new version. And you can guarantee that if it hasn't been updated, that it won't get a cache, that it will get a cache hit if it can, and it will use the existing version. So that's if you're doing this can make a CDN not suck. The problem is people don't do this when they upload to a CDN, which is why all the free CDNs don't work properly. Because the free CDNs don't actually cache properly because they know that people who are free tier customers don't actually know what they're doing. And so they don't hash their assets and provide versioning, etc. when they upload them. And so everything breaks all the time. And so in order to reduce customer support requests, they simply don't function as a CDN. So another thing that you want that will make a CDN work well is if all of your assets are on one CDN. Now that CDN may have regions and it may copy out to the regions, but you want all of your stuff on one CDN, or there are some advantages to having, say, an a.mycdn.com, b.mycdn.com, c.mycdn.com, d.mycdn.com. If those are always deterministic and used strategically, and the CDN will know what it's doing for that, right? But because you can, I think the browser can do somewhere between 4 and 10 requests per site. Now, of course, there's also HTTP2, and if you should be optimizing for HTTP2 because all browsers support HTTP2. So yeah, if you're not actually optimizing for HTTP2, if you're doing things the 1990s way, then you're also using it improperly. Anyway, I don't want to go down this path too far, but feel free to ask me more questions as a follow-up. But essentially, everything needs to be on a single CDN. Otherwise, you're making lots of domain requests for very small assets, and things aren't being bundled properly, and so then you're just slowing down the web traffic. You can see this with Google Fonts. Load any site that uses Google Fonts and just hit refresh about 20 times in a row, and eventually the Google Fonts will fail to load. And if all goes terribly, then the site will just stop loading, period. It won't even have a graceful fallback. So HTTP3 is not there yet. I think Chrome has, and therefore Brave has, experimental support for HTTP3. Content addressable storage. So I'm not actually up to speed on the technical of what that actually means. I don't think that what I'm talking about here is content addressable storage, but the thing where I said the A, B, C, D, that would be content addressable storage. If you have a deterministic way, I think that qualifies as content addressable storage. But anyway, in the general case, you're much better off to download your stuff from the CDN and just put it into your vendor folder and then ship your vendor folder. And if you serve everything off of your server, then everything's going to be much faster.